Hey, what's up guys? Pchild here, and today I'm going to bring you a T13 speed build for Barbarian for Season 15. This is a build that I've been using lately, and it allows you to group play, kill things almost with one shot all the time. In solo, it's definitely a one shot. You can run through the rifts at supersonic speed and kill things. One of the most efficient Barb T13 builds out there. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's not Wave of Light. It's not a UE Demon Hunter, and I get it. It's not quite as fast as those classes. Nothing with Barb is ever going to be as fast as those classes in the current build. So let's get in there and check this out. I'm going to flip the format a little bit for this build guide. I'm going to clear the rift first so you guys can see it in action. You don't have to listen to me talk about skills and abilities for 15 minutes and then watch me clear a rift to decide if you like it. I'll clear the rift first. You guys get to see it in action. If you like it, keep watching the video. You'll see the skills, the gear, all the things that I use to make this build work. So without further ado, let's get in there and kill some things. All right, guys, I'm gonna run a rift and let you guys see what this is like. I'm not fishing for a graveyard rift. I'm not fishing for a battlefields or an Act 4. I am just going to open the rift up and just give you guys a general feel for how well this T13 build does on an average normal rift. On your amazing graveyard rifts, you can do a sub 1 minute and 30 seconds. On a really low density crappy rift, it might take you 3 minutes to clear it. But I'm just gonna open a rift and do it, let you guys see what it plays like. I'm not fishing a rift, so let's get in there and check it out. All right, guys, as soon as you get in the rift, you're gonna want to pop your Immortal Kings, Call of the Ancients, and then your Wrath of the Berserker. You're gonna start charging stuff. You're gonna put up your Battle Rage Bloodshed, and you can see now that we're going, you pretty much are one-shotting everything in the rift. So you can run through. As you Furious Charge is where all of your damage comes from. That's it. That's all you got to do. I have Boulder Toss, but Boulder Toss just resets my Wrath of the Berserker and my Call of the Ancients. That's the only thing it does. Movement speed increases your damage, so anything that gives you movement speed you want to take. That's why I have Sprint with Marathon. That's why I have the Wreath of Lightning gem. You can see proccing and going off. That's why on my Battle Rage, I have the rune that allows you to run faster when you have it up. So we're just running through the rift, destroying all the elites. You obviously have Nem Bracers on. You guys can see me kill all this stuff. Run it through. I'm actually looting the things too. I'm not just doing speed runs where you completely ignore all of the loot that drops. We're definitely picking it up. Pretty tough too. You can die on the build if you're a complete idiot and you stand in all of the bad things. But for the most part, you're pretty darn tough. Nothing's gonna kill you. All right, it looks like that was it for this level, so let's run through and see what else we can get. Got a new level. And again, I'm not rigging this video demonstration guide where I'm getting a graveyard with crazy high density and just blowing it up in 2 seconds. I want you guys to see what this is gonna feel like in most of your rifts. I mean, most of your rifts aren't graveyard rifts. And I missed the orb back there. I know. I saw it. I already see in the comments you guys are like, Pchild, you missed the orb. I know. It's okay. I'm showing you guys what this run feels like on a day-to-day basis. How good it feels to kill things. Now, if I can get one more set, we'll have the Rift Guardian spawned. Should be enough. Got that Rift Guardian. Rift Guardian spawned. We got Blighter. And it took about, I don't know, 4 hits to kill Blighter. So pretty quick. So that's it, man. That's the T13. Not too shabby, right? Not too shabby. Now that you guys have seen the Rift, I'm going to go over the gear and the abilities that you use to make this build work. So first, you're going to start with the Rakor set. We have the hands, the legs, and the shoulders. And then also you can see we have a Royal Ring in our Kanai Cube. And the reason is because we're mixing 2 different sets. So the Royal Ring with the 3-piece Rakors actually gives you the 4-piece bonus. And Furious Charge refunds a charge if it only hits one enemy, and Furious Charge gains the effect of every rune and deals 1000% increased damage. That is ridiculous. That's where all of our damage is coming from for our Furious Charges. And then we have the Immortal Kings, and we have the 6-piece for this. And in order to get the 6-piece and the Rakors, you have to use the Immortal King's weapon. So we have on the chest piece, the head, the 2-hand weapon, the feet, and the waist. So all of those pieces give us the 6-piece Immortal Kings. And you can read what the Immortal King set does. The Call of the Ancients lasts until they die. You have reduced cooldown on Wrath of the Berserker and Call of the Ancients by 3 seconds every 10 fury you spend with an attack. And that 4-piece bonus is really big, and that's how we keep permanent Wrath of the Berserker and permanent Call of the Ancients up through all of our rifting. The 6-piece says, while both Wrath of the Berserker and Call of the Ancients are active, you deal 1500% increased damage. So we get 1500% from the Immortal Kings, we get 1000% on Furious Charge from the 4-piece, and then on top of that, in our cube, we have Furious Charge deals 35% increased damage for every enemy you hit while charging from the Vile Ward Shoulders. And then Standoff is the weapon in the cube, and Furious Charge deals increased damage equal to 500% of your movement speed bonus. So all of these things are stacking on Furious Charge. And if we look at our movement speed bonus, we're going to have some extra skills and things that are going to increase that. So the first thing is the Wreath of Lightning gem. The level 25 bonus for this says, while under the effect of Wreath of Lightning, you gain 25% increased movement speed. And then if we look at our skills, we're also going to use Battle Rage with Ferocity. And what Ferocity does is it increases our movement speed by 15% as long as we have Battle Rage up. You're going to have permanent uptime on Battle Rage. Then we're also throwing in Sprint with Marathon, which gives us 40% movement speed. So you have Wreath of Lightning proccing, you have your Battle Rage giving you movement speed, you have your Sprint with Marathon giving you movement speed. All of these things come together and increase your movement speed so much with your Standoff that it's just insane. Your damage increase is insane. So let's go over the rest of the skills that make this work now that you understand the basics of how I'm getting all this Furious Charge damage. You're taking Furious Charge with Battering Ram, and the 4-piece is going to give us all of the runes for Furious Charge. So make sure you go through and read all of these runes so you understand how it works. I'm not going to waste your time reading all these runes. You guys can read for yourselves. However, your Boulder Toss you want to use when you have maximum fury, and the reason for that is when you're at maximum fury, it's going to pretty much instantly reset the cooldown on your Wrath of the Berserker and on your Call of the Ancients. The second ability you have is Call of the Ancients together at 1. That takes 50% damage reduction for you when you pick together as 1. Really awesome for staying alive. Battle Rage Ferocity, again, this gives you the movement speed and it gives you increased damage, so a win-win. Sprint with Marathon, increased movement speed, just ups our Furious Charge damage. And then Wrath of the Berserker. Now, I actually recorded this video with Striding Giant, and I really should have done it with Insanity, which gives me that 50% increased damage, not Striding Giant. But you can flip-flop between these two runes depending on if you need damage or if you need toughness. If you're not dying, take Insanity. If you're getting one shot and getting killed by things several times a rift, switch back to Striding Giant. Or if you're playing hardcore, definitely take Striding Giant. As far as the passives go, we're going to take Berserker Rage, which gives us 25% additional damage while we're at maximum fury. So as long as your abilities aren't about to expire, you can sit on your pool of fury over here, and then whenever you know they're about to run out, you can cast your Boulder Toss, use up your fury, reset your cooldowns. But you're going to get 25% additional damage as long as you sit on this full fury pool over here. Brawler, as long as there are 3 enemies within 12 yards, you get 20% damage. That's pretty self-explanatory why we want that. Buno Belkathos reduces the cooldown of our Call of the Ancients, Wrath of the Berserker by 30 seconds. It's pretty awesome. This allows us to almost instantly get them off cooldown with 1 Boulder Toss. If you want to spend 2 Boulder Tosses, then you can probably replace this with something else. I find it's just convenient to run. And then Rampage increases your strength by 1% for 8 seconds after killing anything, stacks up to 25 times. This is going to give you 25% strength at all times. This is amazing. And this scales with your gear. The better gear you have, the more Paragon you have, the more strength you have. This just scales up and up and up to make you more and more ridiculously tough. On top of that, this build can also be used for greater rifting. you can do around 70-ish at the start, and then you can keep pushing that up with the most gear that you get. Obviously 60 is T13, so you can scale up to 70, 75, maybe 80 if you're extremely geared up, and then you augment and things like that. So this build can also double as a gem farming / gem leveling up build. As far as our legendary gems, I run Bane of the Powerful, Bane of the Trapped, Wreath of Lightning. We've already talked about why we're using that. I already talked about some of the gear earlier, but a couple pieces that I didn't talk about yet were the Nemesis Bracers, which obviously spawn champion packs at pylons and shrines. Awesome for progressing rifts. We have on the Band of Might, and the Band of Might just gives you some ridiculous damage reduction every time you cast Furious Charge. This is going to give you so much toughness. And that covers all of the gear, all of the gems, all of the skills, and the passives. As far as Paragon goes, the priorities, you're going to take anything that increases your damage. So critical hit chance, critical hit damage, attack speed. Cooldown reduction isn't as important with this because your boulder toss is going to reset the cooldown of all your abilities anyways, but then cooldown fourth. For your defensives, anything that's going to keep you alive, I would go with life and then resist all, then armor, then life regen. For utility, I'm going to go with area damage, then life per hit, then gold find, and then resource cost reduction. And then for your core, strength, movement speed, and max fury. The maximum fury allows you to get a bigger fury pool in order to reset your cooldowns better whenever you use it. So definitely pick up that maximum fury. Movement speed, it's going to increase your damage. It's going to increase the speed you walk. So obviously you can see why that's important. And then all of your other Paragon goes into your strength, into your main stat. The play style is super easy. Again, I'll go into a rift real quick and go over the play style one more time just to show you guys one last run. All right, as soon as you get in the rift, you're going to want to cast your Call of the Ancients and your Wrath of the Berserker. Get that damage increase, get that toughness. Put up your Battle Rage with Ferocity, and then we are going to just sprint through the rest of the rift. Now, on this one, I actually have the Insanity buff, not Striding Giant, so you can see the difference in the play styles and the damage that you output with the Insanity over the Striding Giant. But like I said, if you're having toughness issues, feel free to go with the Striding Giant. You still have lots of damage, but you can see we're just one-shotting everything as we go through this rift. And you can use your Furious Charges just to move through the rift. Now, I actually whiffed some Furious Charges, so it didn't reset my cooldown. As long as you hit one enemy, or as long as you hit 3 enemies, it refunds all of your charge. However, if you hit 2 enemies, it actually doesn't refund the charge. It's a really weird mechanic that they have, and it'll make sense if you read your abilities. So you want to try to avoid hitting 2 things. Hitting multiple things is just fine. Hitting 2 things, not as good. So I'm actually missing a lot of charges this rift. But again, this is just a normal rift scenario. I didn't fish up a graveyard. So as far as the play style goes, I know you guys wanted to get some play style tips. So basically, Furious Charge everything, Wrath of the Berserker. You can see I'm sitting on this big rage pool I have because my Wrath of the Berserker has some time. Now it's about to run out, so I'm going to boulder toss. It empties all my Wrath, but that's okay. But it resets the cooldown on my Wrath of the Berserker. So I'm just going to continue to run through the rift, killing as many things as I can. I'm watching that Wrath of the Berserker timer a little bit. I'm just sitting on this Fury pool. And that's about to run out, so I'm going to go ahead and boulder toss, and boom, I got it back. And other than that, you literally just Furious Charge everything in your path. And this rift hasn't been stellar. It's not an amazing rift. I'm going to go ahead and boulder toss and just reset the cooldown on my Wrath of the Berserker. I got this open section. This is the exact same as the rift I got for the intro. It's kind of funny. Again, charging things, killing everything, boulder tossing, getting your skills back off a cooldown. It's a yellow right here. Everything gets one shot. You know, it's basically you're limited to as fast as the things you can get. Now, the benefit that Wave of Light or UE Demon Hunter has is they shoot everything on the screen pretty much every time they cast, where you actually have to physically hit things in order to kill it. But again, play style pretty easy. Just run through, charge everything. It doesn't really get much easier in this. You use 2 abilities. You use Furious Charge and you use Boulder Toss. Everything else is pretty passive. You don't even really have to worry about it. Again, charging the Rift Guardian. Took 3, maybe 4 hits and he was dead. And that's it. That's the Rift. I hope you guys enjoyed this build guide. If you did, consider subscribing to my channel. I do weekly challenge Rift videos, and also giving it a thumbs up is a great way to support me. If you didn't like the video, feel free to give it a thumbs down. Come hang out with me on twitch.tv/the Pchild. I stream 7 days a week, Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, Saturdays and Sundays at 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. Also, follow me on Twitter. I'll post all of my guides on Twitter as well as my streaming schedules when I go live. So come hang out with me on Twitter. I try to answer any direct messages I also get. So if you want to get in contact with me, send me a message on Twitter. And I will catch you guys for the next build video guide. Thanks for hanging out. Peace.